The top 1% in the United States now has more wealth than the entirety of the middle class. Man, this is completely unsustainable. We are witnessing late-stage capitalism and the instability that always follows it. Now you guys see why the capitalist class have people like Charlie Kirk, who stoke racial divisions and cultural divisions in order to distract poor white people from class war.
You live like a capitalist every single day, Cenk. I live as a
Hey,
capitalist, okay? I live when I believe.
No.
What do? I get dirty every single year. Hold on. What's my salary? Less than his.
Charlie,
You have to be a sweet summer child to believe someone like Charlie Kirk rises completely organically. As people like Charlie Kirk get Americans fighting over trans people in bathrooms and trans people playing sports, the billionaire class engaged in the biggest heist in human history. The billionaire class stole over 6.5 trillion with a T dollars from the working class over the last 10 years. And guess what? They just got a tax break too. It's very important to understand that this wealth disparity that we are witnessing is not an accident. This is by design. Capitalism is a failed, unstable system that crashes every 5 to 7 years. We had a complete economic meltdown 3 times before I turned 30. The system crashes, workers lose all the wealth they build up, the capitalist class make record amount of profits via corporate bailout, and rinse and repeat. And this will continue until the capitalist class takes everything. We need the American people to reject the culture war and become militant, fighting the class war. The Trump administration is cracking down on independent media following the death of Charlie Kirk. Here we go. The crackdown on free speech that we all saw coming. Charlie Kirk was a victim of white-on-white violence. Meanwhile, we all got to pay for it for some reason. Republicans are planning a full-fledged social media crackdown, summoning the CEOs from Discord, Reddit, and Twitch. They are apparently going to grill them over the radicalization of their user base and why they're not doing enough to stop it. This is after an entire week of Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, and the entirety of the corporate media running stories about how toxic social media is and how it needs to be regulated more. Notice how there is zero difference between both political parties when it comes to free speech. They work together in order to erode our First Amendment. And when we call out Republicans for their anti-free speech hypocrisy, they say, well, we're only doing this because Democrats did it to us first. Then Democrats cried down on Republican free speech even more in retaliation. You guys see how the two-party duopoly is essentially a race to the bottom where the average working class American always loses? Both parties fully embrace fascism. This is why we need a working class third party that unapologetically stands for free speech.
What's poppin'? We are back. Welcome back. Nick at Primetime. We had a lot to cover. I took last week off, and I'm actually glad I did. To be clear, I had planned to take last week off because I had a few family obligations. And plus, you got to take a break from being in the lab every single day like me. I mean, I'm posting 4 or 5 hotspot videos every week, going live 2-3 hours every night. Sometimes you got to take a break. So that's what we did last week. And I planned the break before the Charlie Kirk assassination. And I'm telling you guys right now, I'm so glad that I just so happened to plan that week off, because if I didn't, you wouldn't be seeing me today. I promise you. If I was here last week, I probably would have got our channel banned. There's no way you could prepare. There's no way any of us could have prepared for the raw stupidity that we are forced to go through because some fucking white supremacist, pro-genocide podcaster, Republican propagandist, duopolist was popped by one of his own. So there was white on white violence, and now we all got to pay for it now. And as I explained my video, and this is what I explained during my Charlie Kirk live stream, that was taken down, by the way. Thank God we have a few clips of that, because like essentially all the content that I put out regarding Charlie Kirk over the week before I left was banned. I'm pissed. My Charlie Kirk live stream was a complete fucking banger. 15,000 views. And that's from the last time I seen it. I heard it was higher. 15,000 views they took down. My most viewed hotspot video that I ever put on YouTube, I think it was around 7 to 8K views before they took it down. They took that down. They took Rome's live stream down. So you guys know, if I didn't take a break last week, there's a good chance they would have fucking killed the channel. And let me tell you guys, them pulling that 15,000 view live stream about Charlie Kirk, that definitely hurts. I'm not gonna lie. That hurts. I'm a working class citizen journalist. You guys realize, like, just one Sabby Sabs live stream, just one due distance or Sabby Sabs live stream will keep me fed for weeks. I live in a very low cost of living area. I'm not a materialist. That's why I'm able to do the citizen journalism that I do. Bro, give me one stream like Sabby or due distance and I'm being good, fam. So every time I have a stream that hits over 10,000 views, there's like a good 50% chance that shit gets pulled. How many guys, fam, the people who've been with me for a while, how many times have I had a stream that hit 15,000 views and they get pulled? Every single fucking time. The same when Israel launched rockets into Iran. Then I did a response video when Iran fired rockets back at Israel. That was another banger stream. That got taken down. So we are entering a new era. Well, I shouldn't say new, but more the next phase of the planned crackdown on freedom of speech by the Zio-fascists who run this country. So Democrats, it was easy to convince neoliberals to be against free speech. They are the ones who opened the Pandora box for all of this, because they are the ones who was targeting and going after pro-Palestinian activists. They were going after pro-Palestinian journalists. And now Donald Trump and the Republicans, like they always do, they are taking the precedent that the Democratic Party set to double down and crack down on independent media. And now, I'm going to see if I can find it. I didn't have it saved. They summoning the CEO of Twitch. Like, I'm on Twitch for the first time in a few years, but that's not going to last long. If you guys don't know, I'm back on Twitch. You're one of the madmen watching me on Twitch. My Twitch was banned a long time ago, and I was like, man, I need to find a way off this fucking censorship hellhole known as YouTube that is throttling my channel, removing every live stream that gets over 10,000 views. And I know Twitch is not going to be better, but I'm like, man, I need to diversify. So I just happened to check and my Twitch was unbanned. My Twitch was banned a long time ago. And it's unbanned. So we are streaming on Twitch as well, because you never know when YouTube going to get tired of my ass. And what I did in that live stream, for the Charlie Kirk live stream that was pulled, I essentially played Charlie Kirk's own words. And I'm glad we got the clips up, because they accused me of cyberbullying. Oh, I was accused of cyberbullying the dead by simply playing the words that he said. And there are a lot of right-wingers who are furious at me because I'm simply using the ideology that Charlie Kirk preached. You know, the whole idea that empathy is for pussies. That's what Charlie Kirk said, not me. I'm all about empathy. I cry and have a breakdown every goddamn live stream about Palestinians, and we're gonna cover the recognition of the Palestinian state. We're gonna cover how the UN is recognizing this as a genocide. So, guys, my ideology, I'm all about empathy. I'm an emotional wreck seeing all these dead children. You want to know who didn't care about that? Charlie Kirk, who told his own people that, hey, man, we shouldn't have empathy. And now they mad at me because I'm following his advice. Charlie Kirk also was a free speech absolutist. Now they don't give a fuck about the fact that he said that either. He's the one who said we need a few gun deaths every fucking year to feel like the American. Apparently he didn't mean it. Apparently you guys didn't mean it. I love this comment. Socialism is empathy. I like that. I like that. Because empathy is a powerful trait. You guys see how the capitalist psychopaths, they want to demonize very human traits because capitalism is inherently anti-human. You have to be trained, and you got to be whipped into obedience to obey the capitalist structure. Humans inherently want to commune with each other, to share resources together. That's how indigenous societies lived for a very long time. This is what Marx analyzed, the fact that indigenous societies in Latin America and Africa, they live much happier lives than the industrialized peasants in London who only had a life expectancy rate of 26. And people like Nick Fuentes like to talk about the greatness of the white dynasty. Like, nigga, the average white peasant died before he was 30 for the majority of y'all existence. You guys, when you talk about white history, you only talk about the history of kings. You only talk about the history of the ruling class. You guys never talk about how you guys lived in squalor. The poor, miserable whites who are conned by the rich capitalists in order to neglect class war and embrace racial struggle. So the rich white man picks their pockets and kills them, leaves them to die an early death because they don't have health care, because they develop black lung mining for them. This is a tale as old as society itself. Poor white people being distracted from the class war because of race hustling millionaire. Now do you guys see why they're sad that Charlie Kirk is dead? Because I just simply mentioned, because there's a mass rewriting of history, which I am not going to allow happen unless they ban me on all social medias. Because they were trying to pretend that Charlie Kirk was some sort of civil rights icon. Charlie Kirk died trying to start a race war. He was trying to start a race war between black and white Americans. And as he was fear-mongering to his audience on why you should fear me because of the color of my skin, he get popped by a white boy. I literally don't understand how anyone can't see the humor in that. I need to chill before I get banned again. Before this stream is definitely going to get taken down. Fuck it. We on Twitch now. I live on X, bro. We be killing it on X. You guys know I got a big platform on X. This is what, like, we were talking about this, my stream being pulled. I was telling my team behind the scenes. I was telling Zoya, stabbing them. I'm like, bro, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to speak my truth. Whoever sees it live. And if they want to ban me for it, it's all good. Because I'm telling you guys nothing but the truth. So help me God. That's the only thing that you hear on RBN. If I get banned for speaking the truth, that's an indictment of the society itself. Charlie Kirk spent his entire his time being paid by other capitalists in order to distract poor white people from the class war. Charlie Kirk was not just a podcaster. You guys understand? When people say, oh, he's just a podcaster, he was shot for saying his true beliefs. Bullshit. I don't even believe Tyler shot the fucking guy. But this guy was way more than just a podcaster. He played a central role for the Republican apparatus. In order to run for Republican, in order to run as a Republican in the House, you had to go to Turning Point USA. He was a kingmaker for the ruling class. And to be clear, he wasn't the kingmaker. His donors was. Charlie Kirk was having meetings with billionaire donors. Now, a lot of people think this is the reason why he was killed. I wouldn't say that. I'm in theory mode. I don't think there's anything wrong with you having a theory, you testing this theory out, being proved wrong, go to another theory. Unlike what the ruling class says, there's nothing wrong with making these kind of fucking theories. There's nothing wrong with seeing what's possible. And I see the capitalist class. I see if you want people that are wondering why they would possibly murder Charlie Kirk, you're seeing it in action with the free speech crackdowns. I'm in the point right now where I'm not necessarily sure who did it. This was capitalist on capitalist violence. In the road, because Charlie Kirk, he played around with dangerous motherfuckers. I tell people all the time that people in the ruling class, they are gangsters. And they paid Charlie Kirk to distract people from this. Trump administration cancels annual hunger report after enacting historic cuts to nation's safety net. I know I had this up for a while. I got a little bit of a tangent up here. But you guys saw the first hotspot where the top 1% has more wealth than the entirety of what they call the middle class, which I personally not a big fan of the middle class and these vague connotations about where people stand. You're either a capitalist or you're a member of the working class. But I don't have time to be a fucking annoying ass theorist all the time. So for sake of simplicity and educating people, I use the term sometimes. So when I report on that story, I will use the term just to highlight the absurdity of the situation. The absurdity of the situation where people think they're middle class, you're an exploited worker. You have people that make as much money as around $200,000, $300,000 a year. In survey polls, they say they are part of the middle class. Then there are people who make $30,000 to $40,000 a year who also say they are part of the middle class. So according to opinion polls of Americans, the middle class spans from anywhere from $30,000 a year to $250,000 a year. You guys see why that fucking term, the middle class, means nothing? And it's a propaganda term by the capitalist class, so you don't classify yourself with other poor working class people. So you have people who are part of the professional managerial class who make $150,000 a year, who labor is still exploited by the capitalist class. But instead of joining us in class struggle, they don't view us as they don't view themselves as part of the dirty lower working class. They are part of the middle class. You guys see how they manipulate people with this kind of shit? I spare you guys the long theory discussion, but there's no such thing as middle class. You're either a working class or you're a capitalist. And there are many people in the working class who believe they're a capitalist, but you're an exploited, embarrassed worker. Now, there's reasons why I'm having doubts about who shot him. I mean, I think it's clear that this man was a victim of white-on-white violence because this happened in Utah. And I don't think niggas are tracking down Charlie Kirk all the way to Utah. And I strongly disavow any idea that Tyler Robinson or the person who shot Charlie Kirk is anywhere on the left. What organizations was Tyler apparently a part of? What left organization is pulling high-key assassinations off like this? You guys understand that political assassinations is the tool of the ruling class, not the left, not the working class. And I wish I was here last week to tell people this. Like, political assassinations is inherently a bad revolutionary strategy. Political assassinations is a tool that the ruling class uses to destroy revolutionary movements that rely on the leader. And there's a lot of benefit for the ruling class engaging in political assassinations. Not only do you cut the head off the snake of a uprising working class anti-establishment movement, you also spread fear. So you don't want to be the next Malcolm X. You don't want to be the next MLK. You don't want to be the next Sinwar. So assassinations is beneficial, and it's a strategy of the ruling class. Any true revolutionary, any true leftist knows that political assassinations is completely off the table. It's not because I'm on some pacifist shit. It's because it's just inherently bad strategy. So we all know that the figures and puppets in a suit are exactly that. There are actors who don't have any real power, who are doing the bidding of the empire. Leftists and revolutionary leftists generally understand that it's a system of imperialism and a system of capitalism that must be overthrown. So if we understand this premise, we understand that taking out one person does nothing, because the only thing they're going to accomplish is replace that guy. I don't even think killing Benjamin Netanyahu accomplishes anything. He's gonna be replaced by another Likud asshole. The same thing with popping Donald Trump. He's gonna be replaced by another Republican asshole. This, as you guys see, Charlie Kirk get popped, and then Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes, someone else takes their spot. So that's why I reject any idea that this person's on the left. What the fuck are you talking about? What left organization advocates for this? And if you want to say that he votes Democrat, he on the left, I will slap you around your goddamn face. Like, imagine being that unserious to me to say that this guy's on the left because he's a Democrat. Okay. So now I have to explain it, because you have to understand that I'm not tolerating any fucking conversation about this guy being on the left. Because even if he was a Democrat, this is what? Capitalist on capitalist violence. Ruling class on ruling class violence, which we as Marxists, we cheer that. There are a lot of Marxists in the West who are fucking fake as fuck, and they are not ready for a revolution and what it entails. It's our job to take advantage of the chaos within the capitalist structure, to pick off the people who fall off that swinging pendulum, because the Trump team and the right are extremely overreaching with the Charlie Kirk shit, and they are losing people. And it's our job to pull people off that pendulum and show them the proper way. So all the people are like, oh my God, this is horrible. This is horrible. This happened. There's going to be chaos in this country. Oh my God, there's going to be so much instability. The capitalists are going to panic, and they're going to show that. Motherfuckers, we are supposed to want this funk. We want this heat. We want the capitalist system to expose themselves. Because if you read anything about Marxist logic, this is what we predict. We predict that we will be at this crossroads where the capitalists lose their mind, and we have a clear choice. Do we descend to fascism, or do we embrace communism and revolution? So for all the people who want to uphold the system, all these liberals, all the DSA types, the Bernie Sanders, they are factually on the right, because that is what it means. If you're worried about upholding systems, and you're worried about the death of Charlie Kirk being some sort of flashpoint that dismantles the system that we are in. Well, I told you guys, it's a good thing that I was gone for a week, Zoya. If I didn't just so happen to take that week off, bro, I would have said some shit that got the channel banned. And I already said I wasn't going to try and talk about this shit that much, but there's a lot of craziness going on. And I guess other than my intro monologue coming back, I'm trying to avoid the story because our channel is fucked based on me just simply telling the truth. And now I'm going to share some stuff I found interesting. And the reason why, and I explained during the live stream why everything they told us about the story doesn't make sense at all. And now it's even worse. As we took the entire week off, the official narrative became even shadier. So this man was sniped by a rifle. This is the bullet. This is the bullet. And I'm not going to be on this that long because I'm already playing with fire here. This is the bullet that Charlie Kirk got shot with. And now they're telling us that there's no exit wound. on the guy. And this story at this point, like many other stories, is essentially turning into another IQ test for the American people. So you want to know what they are saying to explain why there is no exit wound on Charlie Kirk? We've seen the videos of the spooks, the feds behind them making hand signs. They're dropping gang signs, letting people know when to let off some explosive device. And there are videos, and I can't show this on YouTube because I'm gonna get in trouble because it's a video of the shooting and the assassination. So at this point, you guys gotta take my word for it. But the video's out there. I can't show it because it shows the killing of Charlie Kirk. But there are many videos that people are analyzing, and they see that the entry point comes from behind Charlie Kirk. Everything about the official narrative makes no motherfucking sense at all. For example, the text messages that the FBI released about Tyler Robinson and his apparent gay trans lover, where they are using FBI terms, talking about sweets. They are literally using Fed law enforcement terms in their text messages. There's no emojis. Have you guys ever seen Gen Z people text each other, let alone people who are in love? There's emojis everywhere. And I'm not trying to be offensive, but my gay brothers and sisters, you gotta love emojis. You guys not love my gay brothers and sisters, but gay people use emojis like a motherfuckers. So in their conversation, a casual conversation they're having, there's no emojis that are being shared. Hey, my love, I gotta pick up the rifle that is mine. I'm letting you guys know right now, the rifle is mine. And then his lover send a text like, hey, did he really do it? Can you explain your motive for a potential prosecutor who may just so happen to read these texts? What, bro? The whole thing is fucking shady. The boyfriend is asking for his motive. Why do you do it? Why do you do it? Chat GPT, even they say it was likely AI written. Like the dude used terms like sweep, the point. Like he was using like Fed terms. I hope people have a good sense of humor. You guys know I like to laugh. I don't think I was being offensive when I said that. But you guys see how, like, bro, gay people use emojis like a motherfucker. And you tell me that these people that are in a close lovey-dovey relationship didn't use any emojis, no slang. These motherfuckers writing a college thesis as they was texting each other. But anyway, that's beside the point. I should have found the text messages. I want to show you guys the exit wound because this is the thing that really sparked my attention because FBI text, whatever. I think those texts was 100% fabricated by the FBI, whatever. But what they said about Charlie Kirk and explaining why there wasn't an exit wound, I was like, bro, get the fuck out of here, bro. Listen to this. It was an absolute miracle that someone didn't get killed. His bone is so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. Bro, these niggas are literally calling Charlie Kirk Superman in order to explain this damn story. So I'm someone who like to float theories out there, right? I'm not saying things are fact. I like to use logic to determine what is most likely, right? What is most likely, guys? This is a question that you should ask yourself all the time. What is most likely? Is Charlie Kirk Superman who has bones that can prevent bullets like these from exiting, which is unlike every single weapon expert who analyzes is flabbergasted. So what is more likely, the fact that Charlie Kirk is actually secretly Superman, or a country like Israel, who is known for engaging in political assassinations? It is literally their MO. It is their modus operandi. They have members of the Mossad literally bragging about the fact that they engage in political assassinations. So it's not like we are accusing fucking Finland of assassinating Charlie Kirk. We're not accusing China of assassinating Charlie Kirk. You know, a country that has no history of engaging in political assassinations. We're not accusing Denmark of killing, because if we were doing shit like that, I would understand why people laugh at us. We are pointing the finger at the country who has a history of this behavior. It's called pattern recognition. And then seeing people like Laura Loomer, seeing Zionists attack Charlie Kirk the way they have the weeks leading up to this. His argument with billionaires. Bro, and the massive crackdown on free speech and social media that would directly benefit the Israelis. And on top of that, like T.L. Orca said, I'm glad I can catch a few of these comments. There are Charlie Kirk who literally told people that he felt like Israel was going to kill them. So once again, I'm not telling you guys what to believe. Just ask yourself this question whenever you are forming theories. What is more likely? Is it more likely that Israel or some sort of shadow Western? I'm not even saying it has to be Israel. It could be some sort of Western-funded militia, some hitmen, some sort of shadowy Western organization, or Israel. What's more likely, that happening and them getting a patsy, which is something they have done many times before, or it's Charlie Kirk fucking Superman? And if you believe this story, you need to come out with your whole ass chest and say you believe that Charlie Kirk is a member of the DC universe. You need to come out with your whole chest and explain to me how Charlie Kirk has secret Spider-Man powers where he actually can take bullets and not have it exit anywhere. And like many people say, and there are a lot of people analyzing this who are way smarter than me, the exit wound and everything around this is making no damn sense. So once again, the explanation that they are feeding you because they are laughing at you. They are testing to see how dumb the American populace actually is. This is the message that they are telling you, and they want to see how many idiots are going to believe it. That this motherfucker, there's no exit wound because this motherfucker was able to block this bullet with his bones because he was just that healthy. His bone density was just that impressive. He was like a man of steel. Why do they have to say something that's fucking ridiculous? They have to say stuff that's ridiculous because people have been asking the question like, hey man, we see what he was shot by. We seen the wound that was opened up by this. Why wasn't the people behind him hurt? And these are questions that we're going to be asking for a very long time, man. Because we don't know what kind of weapons they really have. They love showing out new shit. And I'm going to show you guys some of the questions people have been asking about this. There was no exit wounds. There was magic bullets. His vertebrae is made of diamonds. And now they're saying that it's a Christian miracle. This is what they're saying on the right. They're literally mocking you. During the Charlie Kirk Memorial, all these people were saying stuff like, oh, this is the Holy Ghost. Jesus himself stopped that bullet because according to God's plan only wanted Charlie Kirk to die today. According to God's plan, it was okay that Charlie Kirk died, but he wanted to make sure that everyone behind him was okay. So he decided to pull out one of these miracles. You know, he kind of lazy. He don't do a lot of these miracles that often. You know them Palestinian children who are shot in the head by the IDF? God, he tends to take that off. God don't give a fuck about any of that. He intervened because he didn't want people at a Charlie Kirk rally to get hurt. Come on, man. You don't understand. That's just God's way. How dare you question it? We can't comprehend what the Lord thinks. Of course he will protect someone at a Charlie Kirk rally. How dare you question it? This is one of the surgeons who worked on Charlie Hospital, according to this dipshit. He said the bullet absolutely should have gone through, which everyone fucking knows, which is very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, for example, but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. It was an absolute miracle. That's what it was, guys. It was an absolute miracle. No shady work here. This wasn't a professional hit job of some kind. This was a miracle. They were playing with you. His bone was so healthy. His intensity was so impressive. His dick was so big, he stopped the bullet. Can you imagine being this absurd? Like, I didn't even want to cover this kind of stuff. I was 100% okay with moving on. And then they came out and trying to feed me this bullshit. Like, come on, bro. They're literally telling you that this bullet didn't kill anyone. Charlie Kirk is just the manliest of man. His dick is so big that he stopped this. Like, this is from Fox News. Man of Steel. Oh, Jesus Christ. Charlie Kirk's body stopped a bullet that would typically just go through everything. So I'm not a weapon expert. I told you guys, I'm listening to what these people are saying. I don't know shit about bullets and calibers and that kind of shit. Charlie Kirk's body stopped a bullet that will typically go through everything, according to every fucking expert. And it was an absolute miracle nobody else was killed. No further questions needed. Now, I gotta be very careful sharing this because I can't even really show you guys all the shit I've seen, bro. Because I can't show the death of Charlie Kirk anyway. Bro, but there's a photo right here on the bottom right that's like, people are analyzing the exit wound. People are doing the physics about the shot and how none of this shit makes any sense. I guess I'll show this because I think this is the best I can show for what we have. There's nothing wrong. I've said this 1,000 times on the channel. There's nothing wrong with listening to what the government is telling us, listen to what the corporate media is telling us, and telling them, we don't fucking buy it. You're full of shit. And there's nothing wrong, despite how much they want to shame people for doing their own research. There's nothing wrong with us asking questions. There's nothing wrong with us coming up with theories. There's nothing wrong with you guys pushing back on my theories. There's nothing wrong with you guys like, hey, Nick, I think you're full of shit here. That's what we are talking about is the scientific method. The scientific method is all about having hypotheses, theories, testing these theories, roasting someone when they're wrong. You know what I mean? So don't get trapped into this ruling class logic that we're not allowed to question these things. And I see people do this all the time. Like, oh, here Nick, here this person spreading conspiracy theories. There's a reason why the CIA came up with that term, man. The CIA and intelligence agencies came up with those terms because they did not want you to come up with theories of the ruling class conspiring. And if you study history like I do, and I explained many times before, I was a history nerd way before I got into politics. When you study history, human history is the history of ruling class conspiracies. How can anyone study history and listen to all the times the ruling class lied us into wars, all the time the ruling class lied to their populace, and then come to the conclusion that, hey, man, it's a bad idea for us to talk about the conspiracies that the ruling class come up with? Because I'm seeing everything around this bullshit, and it seems shady to me. The attacks on independent media, every single person on the right who stood up for free speech now using this as a way to say, hey, man, I think free speech was a mistake. I think we should have conditions on free speech. Have this person who is the fakest motherfucker of all time, her widow, who just had someone she just had her boyfriend, her husband popped. Her husband was murdered. And then she gave a speech a few days afterwards, which was clearly a political speech. What she was like, we're going to make the left pay for this. You guys are going to see a wrath you guys never seen before. I know everyone mourns in different ways, but the way this person here is mourning is incomprehensible. She's now taking over Turning Point USA. She's like, I'm gonna make the left regret what they did. I'm gonna be Charlie Kirk times 1,000. Like, bro, they are doing everything they can to make her like the new celebrity face. And Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica Kirk, she was a very obedient trad wife because I never heard of her before. You never heard of her before. No one ever talked about her before Charlie Kirk died because she's one of those, trad wives. So shut the fuck up. So now that Charlie Kirk died, she has now been elevated as this new right-wing voice. And then she gave an entrance at the funeral, the memorial of her dead husband, looking like 1998 Bill Goldberg. This motherfucker is coming out like 2005 Batista. If you guys don't know the references I'm talking about, I explained 1,000 times before that our politics is essentially pro wrestling. I explained this 1,000 goddamn times. It's one of the best analogies to American politics. They have baby faces. They have people who are heels. Charlie Kirk was the heel, and he turned face because he was killed. Now that he was killed, now he's super over. They're trying to turn him to a baby face now. And now this is their new baby face coming out to Cody Rhodes style pyro. Like this, look at this WWE style entrance for her. I really hope I don't get. This is literally fake as fuck. If you guys don't know, I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. If you guys don't know, that's the theme song of current WWE champion Cody Rhodes. Because everyone knows the same thing I noticed immediately on Twitter was, hey man, what is pro wrestling shit that we were witnessing? I really hope I don't get in trouble for YouTube for playing that. And I explained before, this is how crazy white supremacy is. Because the tone shift from the right, once it was revealed in the official narrative that a white boy shot him, was palpable. You had people saying shit like, man, we need the death penalty immediately. We need public executions. This guy gonna be remembered and shamed for life. Bro, the rhetoric coming from the right before they found the shooter, bro. Like, I thought they was gonna lynch this motherfucker publicly. Like, I thought they was gonna publicly torture this bro. If this was a black or trans shooter, bro, if it was a trans shooter, if it was a black trans shooter, bro, we'll be in full-fledged race war right now. Nigga, we will have to arm up. You will have fucking mobs like the Israelis in the West Bank lynching people on the streets. Can you imagine the reaction of the right if this shooter wasn't a white guy? We kind of know because we already seen like Republican. This is the vibe shift that we've seen after it was revealed that this is a issue of white on white violence. Because once again, I never made my mind on this. I'm leaning towards this motherfucker Tyler Robinson didn't do it. But at the end of the day, this is capitalist on capitalist violence. And considering this is in Utah, it's most likely a white motherfucker did it anyway. The planners, all white, Zionist, fascist people. This is white on white, capitalist on capitalist violence. So now, once it was revealed to be a white boy, one of their own, now they're doing this shit where they talking about praying for his soul. Here, Nancy Mace, she said, time to bring back the death penalty before. Then it was revealed it was Tyler Robinson. He said, we know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual. There's no way they will be saying this shit if this person who killed him was black. And now here is Erica Kirk. This is how crazy white supremacy is. Your husband just got popped, bro. And now you sending messages of forgiveness?
He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life.
Charlie Kirk went to save him. You guys really think, bro, if anyone with any connection from RBN had anything to do with it, do you guys think this would be the narrative that they would be spinning? That they wish Charlie Kirk would have reached me? These motherfuckers been wishing death on me for not even going along with their Charlie Kirk worship, showing how they're hypocrites.
That young man.
Well, she's the worst actress ever.
On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man.
Oh my God.
I forgive him.
How long did it take you to practice that far? Wonder how long it took her to practice that. And if you think I'm being rude, you gotta understand how the ruling class operate. You know how we operate on shit like love? We marry people for love. We tend to have family and we settle down with people we are we had close connections to. There's the way we view relationships, the way we view family, the way we view our entirety of our relationships is different from the ruling class. The ruling class often engages in arranged marriages. And this is as old as time itself, where like you have a Duke of England marrying some French Duke or whatever to strengthen the ties between countries. Now, I can get into a whole lot of, you guys know I'm a big history nerd. It's something that the ruling class has done forever, where they don't marry within the peasantry. Like, the idea that why do you guys think Barack Obama and George Bush are distant cousins? Do you guys think that's a coincidence? The ruling class strongly believes in keeping their bloodlines pure. They live a completely different culture and lifestyle than we do. I know a lot of people can't wrap their mind around this because we do stuff like marrying for love. You know what I mean? And just like Chrissy, I'm glad at least a few people are seeing what I'm saying. They marry for power. They marry to safeguard their wealth. And we can do a whole podcast on this topic alone. Now, do you guys think it's a coincidence that this person we never heard of is now being promoted to the top as one of the top faces of the conservative movement? And apparently, she met Charlie Kirk as a honeypot. Charlie Kirk met his wife when he was on a trip to Israel. Bro, you cannot make this shit up. So once again, think about how the ruling class does stuff. In order to keep their boy under control, because we know that Charlie Kirk was propped up by the capitalist class. He is not organic. If you believe that Charlie Kirk can start TPUSA and have the power he has without the approval of the ruling class, and you think that's 100% organic, you are a child. Charlie Kirk was their chosen propagandist, their guy that was going to give amazing amount of power, the guy that's going to give amazing amount of wealth, as long as he does their bidding, which is why I believe it's extremely plausible to accept the theory that Israel killed them, because when you're given gifts by the ruling class, like the ruling class gifted Charlie Kirk, and you stepped out of bounds and out of lines, they would 100% kill you. They are gangsters, and they play for keeps, guys. So I'm not saying I'm all about theories. I'm saying this is a potential theory, and I am explaining why it 100% makes sense to me. So you have Charlie Kirk, who is propped up and made wealthy by the ruling class. Guys, they found him from when he was a young teenager. That's what they do. They pick these people out from when they are young talents, and they cultivate and they groom them. This is extremely well known. Tucker Carlson was groomed as a young child to do what he was doing. Remember that show he had on CNN when he had that stupid fucking bow tie? He was considered one of the youngest corporate media figureheads at the time. So Tucker Carlson, none of these people you guys see in these spots are put there on accident. They are chosen. They are groomed from a young age. So after taking this guy Charlie Kirk from a teenager, and I remember because we are around the same age. I remember Charlie Kirk from a long time ago, bro. And they immediately took that guy and they turned him to the key figurehead of Turning Point USA, who, if you're going to be a Republican in Congress, you have to go through Charlie Kirk and his Turning Point USA system. He is not just an ordinary podcaster. The fact that they are even trying to sell the American people on that is how you know some shady shit is up. So let me get to the point. I'm going a little long-winded on this point. So this guy who they groomed from a very early age, they then find a wife for him. And how do they meet? I'm going to allow Erica Kirk to share the story. And I want you guys to ask yourself this question. Was Erica Kirk a Israeli honeypot for Charlie Kirk?
Just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence. Now, did we know that? No, not until we were like 3 months into our relationship and looking at timestamps, seeing that both of us were in Israel at the same time. But nothing is by coincidence. Just know.
Come on, man. Come on. So both of them on a pilgrimage to Israel, and they just so happen to meet. So, of course, this is the way that she's going to tell the story. Like, come on, man. So anyway, I guess I'm going to have more fun here, because these are just things I want you to think about. Because now she out here giving WWE-style entrances. She has none of these questions that we have about the death of Charlie Kirk. Her behavior is beyond strange. That's the only thing I'm going to say. And I personally think, this is opinion, this is not fact, this is not even an anecdote, this is opinion. I think she knows some shit, man. All right, I need to stop. Bro, I'm not going to try. Bro, these niggas about to be so mad at me. But there's nothing wrong with asking questions, man. I don't like the whole idea that we're not supposed to ask these kind of questions. There's a reason why they came up with this term, conspiracy theorists. And I don't know if Grindr like trolling Republicans at this point. That's where Grindr has to be trolling these motherfuckers at this point, because this is the last thing I'm gonna cover on the story. And I'm gonna get to an actual substantive issue that's like, to me, I think this is just a funny story. Well, I guess it actually does have some real implications, because this is what they're using to crack down on independent media. This is what they're using to crack down on freedom of speech. So I guess the Charlie Kirk story does have some real significance, but it's more of a fun. We didn't get to the Israel genocide, Israel two-state solution story yet, but this is more of a I'm having fun story. Here's Grindr. Once again, because this was essentially a glorified RNC event, which, hey, man, I get the hustle. Never allow tragedy to go to waste. We definitely going to fucking use his death as a way to capitalize politically. We're going to raise some money off of this. So it was essentially an RNC event. And every single time there's an RNC event, fucking Grindr, there's always an outage. Here's apparently it was like a hotspot during the Republican event, which is good for them, man. Like, we know they're gay conservatives. I will never stand out. We don't like y'all motherfuckers being in the closet, bro. Just come out with your chest, bro. Grindr out in Arizona. So I think it's funny, bro. I think they trolling them, man. I swear Grindr has to be trolling these people. I appreciate the troll, but I think that's a funny way to end the Charlie Kirk story. Let's get to the Palestinian state recognition, because this is a big story, and I had to make things 100% clear. This man, Keir Starmer, just like every single Western leader, in a true and dignified society, would immediately face trial for being complicit for genocide. So the UK came out in support of a Palestinian state. Meanwhile, at the same time, Keir Starmer is arresting people in his own country for protesting in support of a Palestinian state. Wrap your mind around that for a second. And once you understand and you rationalize that statement I just made, you realize that Keir Starmer is completely full of shit. Now, before I get into my spill here, I need people to understand. I understand why Palestinians are celebrating. If you're Palestinian, you've been through unspeakable amount of trauma, and they accept any win. That's the same reason why they will celebrate ceasefires, even though they know ceasefires are full of shit. I need to plug my charger back in. Hold up. They will have like ceasefire news, these countries acknowledging two-state solutions, and they know it's full of shit, but they're desperate for any win. And that's 100% understandable, and I'm not judging them at all. But you guys understand the UK coming out in support of a Palestinian state is complete and utter bullshit, and it is meant to provide cover for the Zionist state, provide cover for them after they supported a genocide. And they are only doing this because they have to appear like they care about the Palestinian struggle, because the world opinion turned on Israel the likes we have never seen before. They had a fucking general strike in Italy because of the genocide of the Palestinians. They are literally globalizing the fuck out of the Intifada in Italy. And it's the same with France. Despite all these Zionist leaders, the people are furious. So they have to pretend to support nonsense like a demilitarized Palestinian state, which is complete bullshit. If you have a demilitarized Palestinian state next to a genocidal, offensive nuclear armed state that have shown that they are 100% willing to violate the sovereignty and the borders of their neighbors, you have a genocidal state that do not want a Palestinian state, and they have been 100% clear that they don't want a Palestinian state, so they will do everything they can to undermine a Palestinian state. But you want a Palestinian state without a standing military. Get fucking serious. You guys realize that this is the demand of every single liberal Zionist who managed to trick people into thinking that they are in support of the Palestinian people. People like Bernie Sanders. People like Zoran Mamdani. These people who like, Nick, how dare you attack these people on the left? Don't you know they stand for Palestine? People like Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna, Matt Duss, and the entirety of the progressive left, they are the same people who support a demilitarized Palestine, which is essentially a suicide. It's suicide for the Palestinian people. You are signing their death note if you create a Palestinian state where they don't have any sort of deterrence against the state of Israel, who don't already want them to exist. So you guys realize that Keir Starmer, when he came out in support for a Palestinian state, he made it all of that despite his support for a Palestinian state, that Israel still has the right to engage in operations targeting Hamas. Let me repeat. He supports the Palestinian state, but he also supports Israel's right to invade said Palestinian state if they see any Hamas or terrorist threat. There's not a single fucking media outlet that reported this thus far, and I watched a lot of them. So what does this mean? You have Israel, a Zionist state, that accuses every single Palestinian of being de facto members of Hamas. So let's say you get your Western-approved Palestinian state. All Israel has to do is say, hey, man, you know that government official that was just elected over there? Or you know the new government of Palestine? They're actually members of Hamas. We have evidence of that Hamas is gathering in this school over here. So we have right to strike them, right? According to Keir Starmer in the UK, they would 100% have the right to target a hospital in Gaza, in Palestine, because they're a part of Hamas. So you guys see how the recognition of a Palestinian state by this asshole is completely performative? Even this statement here, I'll play this statement because these statements they put out is all theater. Oh, let me unmute it.
And increasing bombardment, Israeli government's relentless and increasing bombardment of Gaza, the offensive of recent weeks, the starvation and devastation are utterly intolerable. Tens of thousands have been killed, including thousands as they tried to collect food and water. This death and destruction horrifies all of us.
Bro, you are literally sending him all the weapons that they need in order to accomplish this. And then you arrest people in your own country. You arrest your own countrymen for protesting against the state of Israel that has the same concerns that you are just now outlining. You see how these Western politicians are completely full of shit? And like Anna said, you guys see why the West is complete garbage? So despite the crimes that you just lay out, you still refuse to acknowledge that Israel is carrying out a genocide. The West is completely and morally bankrupt. How can you condemn Israel for committing war crimes, but arrest your own people and rob them of the freedom of speech for saying essentially the same thing you're saying now? And people wonder why I root for Russia against these assholes. And this right here is exactly why any principled leftist, any principled revolutionary, any person who supports a free Palestine must, and I mean you must, be in support of Hamas and all Palestinian resistance uncritically. And if you are critical of Palestinian resistance, if you're critical of Hamas like Bernie Sanders, if you condemn globalize the Intifada like Zoran Mamdani did, you are de facto a Zionist. This headline right here destroys the entire myth that Hamas is a terrorist group. Listen here. Brushing off UK and France, Israel moves to ensure a Palestinian state will not happen. So if you have a genocidal rogue regime that is illegally blocking the creation of a state against the wishes of international law, that means the set people who are having their sovereignty stolen from them have the right to armed resistance against that state that is robbing them of their statehood, that is illegally occupying them. This is international law. This has nothing to do with religion. This had nothing to do with the Palestinians or the Israelis, or whether I like the Israelis or whether I like the Palestinians. This is just a fact. This is the fact that the entirety of the West has been in the rebellion of for decades. This is why the international community have found Israel in contempt of international law for decades, because anyone who watched RBN, they know this. If you're a new viewer, you probably don't, because they don't tell you this on corporate media. On corporate media, on liberal Zionist channels, they do not tell you that the creation of Israel by the British mandate was contingent on the creation of a Palestinian state. So Israel illegally blocking the Palestinian state has made them an illegal apartheid state for decades. This is what human rights activists have been saying for decades. This is why the issue of Israel-Palestine is not complicated. And anyone who tells you it is full of shit. This issue is not complicated. Israel, even by the criminal, colonial, international law standards, is out of compliance. Thus, Hamas has all rights to shoot, to kill their criminal occupiers. Someone explained to Bernie Sanders, Matt Duss, Zohran Mamdani, and the entirety of the progressive left why they don't understand this. And if you believe that Democrats are deep on this issue, they reject this premise that I just outlined. Saying that you support Palestinian resistance will immediately get you expelled from the Democratic Party. That's why Ro Khanna couldn't say he supported it when he came on RBN. So the Israelis, and by every step that they make, prove us correct and why Palestinian resistance is the only path forward, because Israel will never follow international law. This is proof that the Israelis are inherently terrorists. How can Hamas be terrorists when they are fighting against people who are denying them their sovereignty? So, this is why Bernie Sanders, Keir Starmer, you have Canada, you have all these Western countries that are coming out in support of a demilitarized Palestinian state. That is why this is a trap for the Palestinian people. Now, once again, I'll say this with no judgment, because if you're a Palestinian, if you're part of the Palestinian movement, they're looking for any victory. That's why you see them celebrating this. But I'm telling you, it's our job to be their allies. It's our job to lead from the radical front and take radical positions that they are not able to. It's our job to explain to people why this move for a recognition of a Palestinian state by the Western powers is bullshit and is inherently colonial. You guys know why it's inherently colonial and why we should inherently reject such claims in the first place? Because it is not the right of the UK and Canada and the West in general to approve of the Palestinian state. The Palestinians don't need your approval. You guys see, by even acknowledging this and even conceding to any of their demands, like conceding to the demand that Palestinians be demilitarized, is inherently conceding to their colonial demands. I know I butchered that. You're conceding to their colonial demands by even accepting their bullshit premise. They say that Hamas cannot be an effective governing power. And this is stuff that Bernie Sanders say. Bernie Sanders, even the liberal, the people who are friends with Zohran, even they say, hey, we support Palestinian state, but we don't support Hamas as the governing power. When you say that, you are taking a neoliberal, colonial, imperialist position where you believe you have the right to tell the Palestinians who should govern them. That's inherently colonial. That's inherently imperialist, and anyone on the left should reject that. You want to know who is not rejecting this? The sellout Arab states, the Muslim Zionists from the Gulf. These people who I despise and I rip these people also because I see parallels. It's really traumatizing parallels I see between these Muslim Zionist sellout leaders with the Black Congressional Caucus people I rip to shreds every single day. I started out as a political commentator writing a Substack that went viral, destroying Barack Obama, and I explained how Black neoliberalism destroyed the Black community. Like, my critique, white people get pissed at me all the time for going after white America. Nigga, have you seen what I said about Black America in their embrace of neoliberalism? Their embrace of CIA implanted culture? Like, I ripped Black boomers for selling us out to the police state. For all the sensitive white people who get mad. Why do you always call out white people? Like, I'll call out all the sellouts. So I have a visceral rage towards all the Arab leaders who sacrificed nothing during this time. South Africa, why did African countries sacrifice more than Arab countries? That's why the Trump administration is going after South Africa. They're destroying South Africa's economy with tariffs. South Africa has faced a steep price for standing for Palestine. Meanwhile, what did the Arab states do? None of them supported or signed on to the South Africa genocide conventions. Iran was the only one who supported them, but they're not even an Arab state. Yemen's the only one. Iran is Persian. Like, so the Arab state, the Gulf states sold these people out the level in which I've seen my black leaders sell us out. And it's honestly triggering when I see this. And you guys see, I had conversations with my Palestinian brothers and sisters. We had a Palestinian roundtable show not too long ago. And we always bond on this. Like, whenever I talk to my fellow Palestinian brothers and sisters, whenever I talk to my fellow Arab brothers and sisters, we immediately have a bond because we immediately discuss how both of the capitalists in our community sold us out. And history will never forgive these Arab leaders for how they sold out the Palestinians. And I won't. And I won't because my Palestinian brothers and sisters tell me this all the time. The same way I will never forgive people like Barack Obama. Never forgive Hakeem Jeffries. These pro-NATO sellouts. So I just explained to you guys why setting up a Palestinian state that is demilitarized is literally suicide for the Palestinian people. It will set up their death. It would you have Israeli politicians all the time explaining how they have no choice but to engage in the final solution now. Benjamin Netanyahu just came out, I'm going to show you guys this here very soon, explaining how, okay, you guys want a two-state solution? Bet, we about to take all this shit now. So despite Israel very openly saying that they're going to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people, despite the Israelis openly saying that they will do everything they can to block a Palestinian state, you have Arab leaders that call for Hamas to disarm. And there was people who looked at me crazy when I introduced the term Muslim Zionist. People like, how dare, people like Shahid Bosen, they're like, how dare you call them Muslim Zionists? What is this other than the most crazy Zionism you've ever seen in your life? You guys know I'm very critical of Jewish institutions and the Jewish community, but we also understand that Zionism is a system of imperialism that relies on the funding and the institutional support that come from Christian Zionism and the complicity that comes from Muslim Zionists in the Middle East. That's why I have two thoughts at one time. That's why I can be critical of Jewish institutions in the Jewish community, while at the same time not saying this is a religious struggle, because this is a true conspiracy of all these Judeo-religious sellouts in order to create this fucking Western imperialist outpost known as Israel, and they just pay out the Muslim Zionists in order to approve of it. They have the UAE and they create these super rich Arab states as a payoff for them being complicit with genocide. It's a problem that I can't even begin to wrap my mind around as just a single person how we solve this, other than having international revolution against the capitalist class. It's I need to move on, but man, it's sad, man. And these Arab leaders will never live this down because they're going along with this. These Arab leaders, they all come out with statements like, "Oh, this is great. I support the UK coming out with a demilitarized Palestinian state. Yeah, let's have a puppet state to Israel." Any Palestinian state that exists in such conditions will inherently be a puppet state of the West. You guys understand that, right? I want to share this. I also support this wholeheartedly. I said for years that I support reparations for the Palestinian people. So after the UK called for the recognition of a Palestinian state, many Palestinian leaders, including the Palestinian Authority, was like, "Hey, man, you support a Palestinian state now, right? Hey, remember that genocide you supported? Hey, remember the bombs you sent? How about you pay us reparations?" And I 100% support reparations for my Palestinian brothers and sisters. Let me find the exact amount. It's like 2 trillion pounds they're calling for. Oh, here's another source. Britain. Oh, come on. Shut the fuck up. Britain faces. Oh, come on. Oh, let me here it is. Britain faces Palestinian reparation demands that cost £2 trillion. And this is why the Black community and Palestinians, we stood in solidarity with each other for decades, because I have Palestinians on our show during Palestinian roundtables, and they're all strongly in support of reparations for indigenous, for descendants of slaves, for African Americans. You guys seen the conversation I had with Nordine and the Palestinian groups on RBN. They all in support. Before the FBA clowns say anything, they come on my show and came out in support of reparations. I've seen Palestinian brothers and sisters support reparations all the time because that's what it means to be in true solidarity. I want the empire to pay every single motherfucker they wronged. That's the greatest form of redistribution of wealth that we could possibly engage in. The most pure form of class war we can engage in is forcing these people to pay for the unpaid labor to the descendant of slaves, the unpaid generational wealth to Black Americans, to make them pay for the imperialist crimes that they profited from. Isn't that the most pure version of class warfare? Like, how can you say you support class warfare, but you support the capitalists and the arm manufacturers making a fortune off of murdering Palestinians? Wouldn't it make sense for them to pay back all the money they made in kind? And if you don't support that, you better explain why you don't. Because if you don't support the capitalist class who made profits off the death of Palestinians, paying that back in reparations in kind, how can you say you're in support of a class war? How can you say you're not in support of the capitalist class in general if you want them to keep their profits? These are the questions I always have for the poor white working class, for the people who oppose reparations, as if they're going to be paying anything for it. You got no damn wealth. What the fuck are you going to be paying? How are you going to be supportive of people who rob people of labor value, steal their generational wealth, commit crimes, and claim that you are engaging in class warfare? It's nonsense. Here's Emmanuel Macron. These European leaders are utterly disgusting. This is him conflating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism once again. This is the mentality of these European leaders.
You cannot reject the existence of Israel. Anti-Zionism is unacceptable and is anti-Semitism.
You guys see how he's saying that French accent, how anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism. This is why he's attempting to crack down on the free speech of his own citizens. He brutally arrested people for standing up for Palestine action. These are the genocidal leaders that are propped up by the liberal West, and people wonder why I root for Xi Jinping and Putin over these psychopaths. So let's listen to this again.
You cannot reject the existence of Israel. Anti-Zionism is unacceptable and is anti-Semitism. But it doesn't mean that you are not allowed to be in disagreement with the government of Israel. Otherwise, we will become crazy. I'm sorry, but I want to fight very hard against anti-Semitism. I'm deadly against any anti-Zionist speech, but I do endorse to be in disagreement with Prime Minister Netanyahu and some of his ministers on many topics. It doesn't make me an anti-Semitic.
How is this not the most batshit crazy ideology in the world, period? So you oppose, apparently, Israel murdering people, but you support, you are against Israel murdering their own people, but you arrest people in your own society for protesting the same thing. You admit that Israel has gone crazy with their genocidal actions. You admit that Israel murdered a lot of civilians, but he still refuses to call it a genocide. Here's another clip.
An independent commission set up by the UN concluded Israel has a, quote, intent to destroy Palestinians in Gaza as defined by the Genocide Convention. Does France agree with that report?
No, we don't qualify as a genocide what's happening because it is not a political statement. This is the judges.
Bro, how many times have Israelis, I'm not talking about ordinary Israelis, I'm talking about elected officials come out and say, hey, yo, we about to go into Gaza, we about to clean all these motherfuckers out. We're going to make Gaza and the West Bank so unlivable that Palestinians are going to self-deport themselves. How many times have they said outright genocidal statements in outright intent? These are the leaders that you guys are rooting for over Putin or Xi Jinping. Like, these people are out of their mind. This guy is literally a Rothschild banker. Just like the BlackRock prime minister from Germany, Friedrich Merz. This is insane. I'm showing you the ideology of these European leaders who now trying to pretend that they mourn for the Palestinians. And they are only doing this because their populists hate Israel now.
This is the judges or the historians to qualify a genocide by a series of evidence and a clear jurisprudence and clear elements.
So you reject that report and that finding?
No, I don't reject the report. This is not my point. My point is it should not be a political debate. What's happening is clearly a lot of civilians are being killed de facto on the ground.
Bro, that is the same bullshit that Bernie Sanders said. It's so disgusting. Saying that Israel's committing a genocide is not political. It's a legal term. So if it's a genocide, that means your ass is going to be held accountable for funding a genocide. So that's why he don't want to accept that it's a genocide. It's the same thing that Bernie Sanders said. Bernie Sanders said, well, I don't want to call, well, he now changed his tune. But before he said, I don't want to call it a genocide because genocide is a political term. No, Bernie, calling it a genocide is important because that makes Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden directly complicit and liable for legal charges. And Bernie Sanders knows this. The people who advise him on legal matters, they know this. The reason why Bernie Sanders wouldn't call it a genocide until Donald Trump took office All right, let's man, we're almost 90 minutes in already. God damn it. I'm running out of time. I've been gone for a week, so you guys know I had a lot to say. I'm mad I cut one of my stories today. Fuck. I was gonna talk about Argentina. They need a bailout. I'm gonna say that maybe for Wednesday. I had a propaganda segment planned too. Damn. But either way, I'm back. I'm only back on Wednesday too, so I got a lot to cover. I'll be back on Wednesday cover. Damn, there's so much to talk about. I'm mad I kind of went over my time. But let's just in my last clip on Macron and hey Zoya, we definitely probably need to change the title. Zoya's love, Zoya's life. And we're definitely gonna do a segment we're gonna have a segment on this Macron statements as well. I have a few more clips. I'm gonna go slightly over. I have a few more clips I'm gonna play before we wrap up. I definitely want to show you guys this one because out of all the clips that we showed and all the clips I've seen from Western leaders, this is probably one of the craziest. This is Emmanuel Macron engaging in genocidal rhetoric, just casually.
A lot of people worked very hard to kill the credibility of the Palestinian Authority in Gaza years ago. Mm-hmm. And Hamas appeared as precisely a sort of alternative option. Mm-hmm. But the terrorist attacks were launched by Hamas, not by Palestinian Authority. And if we say all those living in Gaza and all those backing the Palestinian state are de facto the support of Hamas, there is no end to this war, except the day you kill everybody. And
bro, what? You guys hear what he said? I know it may be hard to understand him, but he said, if we say all those living in Gaza and all those back in the Palestinian state are de facto supporters of Hamas, there is no end to this war except that you have to kill everybody. Bruh, know that the majority of Hamas are Palestinian orphans, as I explained like 10 times in the stream alone, have the legal right to engage in armed resistance against Israel for the exact reason that Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel is blocking the Palestinian state. So Emmanuel Macron is explaining his rationale on why we got to have a Palestinian state without Hamas. Because he's like, hey man, I'm not saying that all Palestinian people, all Palestinians are Hamas. Israel claims that all Palestinians are Hamas, and that's why we can't have a Palestinian state. If Israel was telling the truth and all Palestinians are Hamas, we might as well kill them all. Which shows the mindset of Emmanuel Macron, which is the same mindset of Bernie Sanders. That if you are a part of the Palestinian resistance, you must die. Do you guys see how liberal Zionism is genocidal? Bernie Sanders, to this day, still say he supports Israel engaging in military operations against Hamas. So people like Emmanuel Macron and people like Bernie Sanders pretends to mourn for Palestinians when they are the victims. But then the second that they engage in their armed right to resistance and they score resistance victories against Israel, then they must all die. So what Emmanuel Macron says here is supporting the genocidal ideology of the Likud party. I'll play it again because he's saying if you're a Palestinian and if you support Hamas in any way, like the Israelis claim, I support you being murdered. Like when I first heard this clip, my jaw was on the floor. Like this clip alone should be impeachment worthy. We all know if France hates Macron, like France is not a functioning democracy. It's a straight fascist hellhole. Because they tried to get rid of this motherfucker. They said, you guys can't actually do that. I know most of you guys voted against this motherfucker in the last election. Most of you guys voted for the French left party. But hey, you forgot that you can't vote your way out of fascism. Dummies. They're like, I got you. And I still remember when we covered this a while ago, Morning Joe was like, this was a fantastic gambit by Emmanuel Macron. You guys thought you had a democracy over here. Because in a rational society, this motherfucker would never be in power for saying something this crazy.
But terrorist attacks were launched by Hamas, not by a Palestinian Authority. And if we say all those living in Gaza and all those backing the Palestinian state are de facto the support of Hamas, there is no end to this war, except the day you kill everybody. And this is terrible.
You guys see how Emmanuel Macron and liberal Zionists devalue the lives of anyone in Palestine willing to stand up against their oppressors. Like Hamas, the Al-Qassam brigades, anyone who engages in their legal right to fight the Israeli state, they label as terrorists, as Israel literally engages in terrorist actions. Because Benjamin Netanyahu was 100% clear that if there was any recognition of a Palestinian state, they would ramp up their genocide. Now, this gets to the point where I had to make before I wrap the stream up. You guys see why the UK, Canada, and all these states coming out in support of a Palestinian state are full of shit? Because Benjamin Netanyahu has said many times before, if there's any recognition of a Palestinian state, we will ramp up our military actions. So you have the UK, France, and all these in Germany, they are still sending weapons. They are still supportive of Israel's inherent military actions. So when they support a Palestinian state without an armed militia, that is them giving the AOK for Israel to engage in the final solution. Because if you're not engaging in any way to stop them, if there's no mechanism that you're supporting, because the UK and France, they rejected an arms embargo of Israel. So if you reject an arms embargo of Israel while you support a Palestinian state, when you know Israel's going in, that is you signing the death warrant of the Palestinians. And now you're going to use this whole fake narrative of you being opposed to Benjamin Netanyahu as a storyline to wipe your hands clean of the genocide. What they're doing is so transparent. So here's the last clip I want to share. And this is Benjamin Netanyahu warning the world that he's going to finish the job now that they approved of this Palestinian state, and everyone in the West is going to sit by and watch it happen.
יש לי מסר ברור לאותם מנהיגים שמכירים במדינה פלסטינית לאחר הטבח הנורא ב7 באוקטובר. אתם מעניקים פרס עצום לטרור. ויש לי מסר נוסף עבורכם. זה לא יהיה. לא תקום מדינה פלסטינית ממערב לירדן. במשך שנים אני מנעתי את הקמתה של מדינת טרור זו מול לחצים אדירים, גם מבית וגם מן החוץ. עשינו זאת בנחישות ועשינו זאת בתבונה מדינית. לא כל שכן. הכפלנו את ההתיישבות היהודית ביהודה ושומרון ונמשיך בדרך זו.
Well, he's literally bragging about ethnically cleansing the Palestinians and the result of this. But the UK and none of these countries will still do anything. They still close partners with Israel. They refuse to support an arms embargo, and they are arresting their own people for criticizing the actions that Netanyahu is supporting, while at the same time speaking out of their mouth, pretending they are against the state of Israel.
המענה לניסיון האחרון לכפות עלינו מדינת טרור בלב ארצנו, המענה הזה יינתן לאחר שובי מארצות הברית. תמתינו. יש לי מסר
You have to realize that Netanyahu saying that there will be no Palestinian state from the river to the sea. Isn't it weird how it's genocidal when we say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. But here's Benjamin Netanyahu essentially saying the same version of that. Benjamin Netanyahu is saying, under no circumstance, and this has been the political position of Israel for decades now, under no situation will we ever allow a Palestinian state. This alone means that Hamas, that means that Yemen, and every single person who takes up arms against Israel is inherently in the right. They're engaging in their legal right to arm resistance against this state. And now that the UN has come to the conclusion that Israel has committed a genocide, every single country is supposed to be doing what Yemen is doing. Every single country need to be sanctioning Israel. Every country need to be engaging in blockades of Israel. What Iran did when they launched bombs into Tel Aviv was technically what every single country should be doing in response to the genocidal government. So, congrats to everyone who was able to watch the stream before the shit gets pulled. Because this shit is good. This shit is good as gone. I have another hotspot video coming out tomorrow. I'm a hard wrap. We're 9 minutes in. Let me read a few super chats, and it's gonna be back. I had last week off. We got a lot of great shows and programs coming up on RBN. I'm gonna be at the Shama Sawan rally on October 12th, so that's gonna be super exciting. A lot of crazy things going on RBN. A lot of great guests. Richard Medhurst will be joining us here very soon. We're working on a date on that. I'll have more announcements soon, but we always in the lab cooking here. Let me read a few super chats, and we can begin to wrap. The Captain Kirk thing is just gay love. Dang, what went wrong? Thanks for the super chat. Hollow Point USA. Thank you for Tuzo. Make sure you guys follow Hotspot. Even when I was on break, I still was in the lab cooking on Hotspot. So make sure you guys follow us there. I'm gonna have that up on screen as we end. I appreciate the super chat. Great job, courtesy of Monastery of Last Resort. I'm trying to get the last super chat up. Oh, we got two more. Some Arab nations are simply a part of collaborative colonialism. I'm so disgusted at those people, man. Like, for what? You sold out just so you had skyscrapers? Like, what? You sold your soul for what? You see Arabs and Muslims, your own Muslim brothers and sisters that you both share. You share a religion with. You watch them die for what? For payoffs? You get skyscrapers? I don't understand the mindset of a sellout. There's nothing worth it to me. There's nothing worth selling out my community for. What am I gonna buy? A car? What am I gonna do? Buy a fucking house that got fucking a ton of rooms I never visit? Oh, I got a big house with 5 fucking bathrooms. Nigga, you only need 1. Okay? You got 2 people house, you need 2. What are you guys selling out for? What are you selling out for? The moments you remember in life are not the tangible shit you play with. You're a grown-ass adult. You selling out so you have a toy? want a new phone, want a new computer. That's what you sell out your values and your people for. So you have a new Apple product. So you afford tickets to go to the Chiefs. That's it. I will never understand. I will never understand it. Anyway, I guess I'll begin to wrap up. We had another bang on our hands here. I'm glad to be back. You guys see, I got a lot on my chest. I got a lot more stories to cover, but you guys know I'm live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm also live on Twitch. I'm back on Twitch. I had to get another backup because they've been taking my streams down left and right. I don't really give a shit. The people who watch it live, you guys get to get my raw commentary before they pull it down. People on X watch my stream. I got a lot of people on X who watch, so they get to watch it live. So YouTube is a dead end, guys. I'm like damn near completely divested from YouTube. But I enjoy doing this as an intellectual, like it's a intellectual hobby. I love radicalizing the masses, discussing these things, breaking down propaganda. The amount of people who told me that I got them into mutual aid, got them out of the duopoly, that's the reason enough to do this alone. I don't really give a fuck about having a giant YouTube channel that I know they're going to fucking ban here soon anyway. So make sure you guys follow me on Twitch because YouTube is a dead end. Make sure you guys follow on X. You guys see we go live on X too. Let me show you guys this. Bro, our X live should be popping. You know what I mean? I don't know if this number real. Like, what is that? 1,139 people on X. I don't know if those numbers real. That seems like bullshit, but X is popping. Like, even half the numbers they say on X is real, I take that. But anyway, I thank you guys for watching. Yeah, Zoya's love, Zoya's life. Big shout out to my friend Zoya here. I'll be back on Wednesday. Good to be back. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Peace out.